Hey there, this is Neil from Semantic, and today I wanted to talk about Guide 11 in our series of Website Wins guides. This is a series of free guides that hopefully will help you drive results on your website. And the aims really are to help you, one, fix some of the basics that often get missed, two, to help you learn and develop your skills, and three, to help you optimize some of the things you might not have thought about and best practices on your website. So Guide 11 is all around testing. So we've always said test, don't guess. So if I could get everyone to print those words out in really big or have a big spotlight going into the air, so it's always test, don't guess. And this is all around trying to remove the subjectivity from web updates. So we'll often get kind of people where their bosses have come in and said, oh no, we need the homepage laid out like this, and this has got to be pink, and you've got to have this over here. And that's fine, but it's all just based on assumptions and gut feels, which you need a bit of, but really you want to try and dial it back to the data and make sure your updates are having the impact you want. Otherwise you just don't know. So we can have a good idea, but unless we actually split test it and get the data, you're not going to know for sure what caused the impact and whether it was a positive or negative impact. So this guide's split down into 4 sections. The first one just being what is CRO, so Conversion Rate Optimisation. And essentially it's a process where you're gathering data from your users and then implementing updates in a systemized way to constantly drive improvement. And our mission really is, if you think about someone like Apple or Disney or Amazon, you look at their websites and go, well, when was the last time they had a big website refresh where they dumped everything and started again? They don't do it so much. It's always just constant changes, constant upgrades, and constantly making things better and better with that iterative approach. So that's, well, our mission is to show you that you don't have to be a multi-billion-dollar company to be doing this stuff. You can use a lot of the same tools and technology to get a lot of the same benefits. So essentially that's kind of what conversion rate optimization is, taking all the data, taking the inputs, and then that constant tweaking and improving to drive results online. So then the remaining parts of the guide, the next bit is the data gathering side. So it's a really important part of conversion rate optimization. You've got to gather the data. So if you're going in and just kind of testing at random, then you're probably not going to get much success. What you need to do is step back and look at how the users are using the website and try and identify their frustrations, because then this enables you to get a really good hypothesis together. So try and step back. There's 2 types of data you can collect. So there's the qualitative data, so that's all the subjective opinions. If you're running, you can run like user testing videos and get comments back from users talking about using your site. So that's all kind of qualitative data. So there's no numbers as such. It's just kind of what people are thinking. And there's normally a tipping point there around, once you get a decent number of videos back, you can start spotting if things come up a lot, and then you might want to act on it. Then the other type of data you can capture is the quantitative data. So a bit of a mouthful, but that's all about the numbers. So anything you can see in analytics pretty much is quantitative data. Or if you sent out a survey that's got like a net promoter score, so how likely are you to recommend us out of 10, you could then quantify that. And we'd then use that to try and validate anything you hear in terms of the qualitative data. So those are the 2 types you can collect. Once you've diagnosed and got a big list of issues, we'd then tend to rank them and see which ones we think would have the biggest impact. And there's loads of other ideas in the next guide actually around other areas you might think about to test broader just from the website alone. But from there, we then talk about split testing your ideas. So that's the only way really you can get a fair test. So often we'll have clients that say, oh, well, let's put one version of the page live here and then another page. So we'll put version 1 live for 2 weeks and then the other version live for the next 2 weeks, which is fine. It's just you can't be certain that everything was consistent between the two time periods, because obviously the weather might be different, market conditions will have changed, all this kind of stuff. So split testing is a way that you can then have two versions of the same page running at the same time. Or if you've got the traffic, you can then do multiple versions of pages or multiple elements and different combinations. So that's called multivariate testing rather than a basic kind of A/B split test. So there's loads of stuff we can do there. The fundamental part of getting a good split test is the hypothesis. So making sure, well, essentially you're treating this as an experiment. So to have a good experiment outcome, you need that rock solid hypothesis to work out, how you're going to work out if it's been a success, have you backed it up with data, all that kind of thing. So we've got a great template in terms of how to write a good hypothesis in this guide. And then from there, you get some help getting the split test set up and analysing the results. So that's the last part. So some pitfalls there, common issues or things to look out for in the data. The main one we find is people kind of relying on the average. So from a split testing tool, you get whether it was going to beat the original or not. But actually, it's when you interrogate that data and look beyond the averages that you'll find out whether it's whether there's certain types of audiences that respond better. So a classic one is whether mobile users or desktop users had the same outcome. And we found in tests in the past, certainly on home pages, if you change content around, sometimes it'll outperform the original on mobiles, but be pretty even on desktops. So it's really important to dig under the average numbers and try and interrogate it a bit more. And the other part is trying to remember that there's no such thing as a failed test. So always, if the hypothesis was good at the beginning, you should be able to learn something and take some insights from your test, even if that's the fact that, the original was better. So we got it right at the beginning. But every time you should be building your knowledge and building out your insights so that you can make better decisions going forwards. So that's essentially it. So coming back to those three words at the beginning, test, don't guess. We can't hammer that home enough. So we'd love to hear how you get on with this. You'll probably be surprised that we can run split tests on any website as well. So it doesn't have to be one we've built. And actually often it can be fairly inexpensive to set them up. So challenge your web agency on it, see what they say. And if it comes back really, really, really expensive, then let us know, because we might be able to use some of the latest tools and techniques to jumpstart that and at least get you some data and start you moving along that more strategic direction with a full kind of CRO process. All right, well, hopefully that's been helpful. Be sure to share this with anyone that you think would find it interesting as well, and we'd love to hear from you how you get on. All right, thanks very much.